Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports. It's Olympic week, which is weird. I'm sure we're going to get into some Olympic talk, but we got myself, Frankie, Trent. We've had a double COVID test from John Rahm, which I'm sure we'll get into. But, gentlemen, hello. How are we?
Do you guys like the Olympics? As not in a golf
Yes.
set, but like just in terms of like watching the events as they go on.
Love it. I love the pageantry of it. I love like the national anthems and the podiums and the fact that like some person stands taller than the next while their flag gets raised. I think it's fantastic.
Yes, I love the ancient Greek ties. I love everything about it. I love the Olympics in general. I love the logos. I love the flags. I love the fact that I sit there and watch archery for an hour and it's the most electric thing I've ever seen. Shout out to Korea, who's just the best archers. Is that who they are? Archers?
Probably archers.
Yeah, I think so.
Just the best archers on the planet, and they're so electric. Every time they get like a bullseye, they scream at the top of their lungs. It's just probably the most intimidating team to play in anything. But yeah, I love the Olympics, man. And honestly, it just opens your eyes to just how athletic some people are. Like you watch baseball, hockey, football, basketball, and golf, and like you just don't realize that they're like water polo. I know we've talked about water polo. When you watch water polo in the Olympics, you can't understand how it's happening. You're like, these people are just treading water for 60 minutes. And then when they shoot and it gets blocked, they swim an Olympic-sized pool back to defense and they tread water again. And they never grab onto anything.
Dude, think about this. Like if you're not great at track and field or something, you just run slower than the other people. If we try to do water polo, we just drown and are at the bottom of the pool.
I just don't get it. I don't get how it's physically possible. Like how they were like, oh yeah, this is a safe sport for us to play. Let's do that.
I'm pretty sure on this show I've talked shit about the Olympics in the past about how it's kind of boring and I don't get that into it. I have pulled a complete 180 and now I just watch everything that's on. The other night I watched handball for 2 hours and I just stared at handball for 2 hours and it was amazing. It's just on, and it doesn't even matter. I don't know if it's live or not. I have no idea because I don't know what time it's on. I don't know if it's actually happening, but it's just something to watch at night.
Dude, it's like a box of like chocolates. Like you just turn it on, you have no idea what's going to be on. It could be archery, it could be swimming, water polo. Like you don't know what's going to be on. You know if you just throw on like the Olympics channel that you're going to get something cool you haven't seen before. So yeah, I'm very into it. I will say the golf is going to be 6:30 p.m. until 3:30 a.m. is when the golf's going to happen, which again, it's going to be who knows how much of that we'll actually catch, how much we won't. But yeah, I think we're all in on the Olympics at this point, which I'm happy about.
It's also funny seeing Olympians stand next to regular people, and the example that I saw was I think Michael Phelps was standing next to Mike Tirico, and the difference is stunning. Michael Phelps is like 6'6", and he's just perfectly built to be an Olympic gold medalist swimmer. And then no offense to Mike Tirico, but I think he's a smaller guy anyway. But standing next to Michael Phelps, you just see what type of specimens these people are. And it's really quite jarring, honestly.
It really is.
Yeah. I noticed too, like Phelps was talking about swimming last night and he was weighing in and giving some analysis on some different races. And I'm just so dumb when it comes to sports. I was like, no, it's just simple. You just swim in one direction faster. That's really it. But there's like the drag that you get from one lane to the next. If you're a little bit behind, then you're going through like waves. And if you're going through that, it's actually harder to go faster. And then like a certain technique, the way they kick off. And the fact that like we are just not familiar with these sports and don't realize what actually goes into it and the strategy, it's awesome. It's cool to immerse yourself in it. I think I saw, might have been Clem or somebody with a tweet that was like, I love how we all just become in our own minds kind of experts on how they're judging stuff, but actually we don't know how they're judging stuff. Like during, gymnastics, it's like everyone's just flipping around doing circles and you're like, yeah, that was really good. But like one can actually be significantly better than the other and you just have no clue when you're watching it.
I saw someone say, imagine being better than like 7 billion other people on the planet, except for like one other person. How like rattling that must be, like becoming, like being a serial silver medalist. Like you just can never get it done. And like, you're always losing to one person, or like growing up in a Michael Phelps, Katie Ledecky era where it's just like, I am better than everyone else on the planet except for one person.
And the margins are so small. They're so small. It's less than half a second, and then you're like, damn, I just lost and now I get the silver medal.
It almost seems unfair. Like there should be like, you both just raced so well, you're so close. That's just like, it seems preposterous that little touching of the wall changes the entire thing. But it does. Owen's Mixers. We gotta hit up our title sponsor, our presenting sponsor. They've been our presenting sponsor for over a year now. They came up with their own drink with us. So Owen's, if you're out there trying to have a good time, enjoy your summer. Maybe you're on a golf trip. Maybe you're on a boat. I think we all like both of those things. Maybe you're sitting on a back patio somewhere. Who knows? Maybe you're like cutting the lawn and you just want to have a cocktail. I don't really care what you're doing, but you should do it with Owen's Mixers. Pour it in with your favorite liquor of choice, and it's very, very simple. It just creates a delicious drink that you didn't have to be some sommelier or some mixologist to whip up. You just pretty much had to order Owen's Mixers from owensmixers.com, from Amazon, which will come the next day. Or go pick it up in retail, owensmixers.com. You can check out their store locator, figure out where we've got the goods, and go pick it up. Big thanks to Owens.
I've never mowed a lawn.
What?
No.
That doesn't surprise me.
Just not much property, I guess. Like in Nassau County, we have a backyard with a pool, but like a little sliver of grass, and then like 2 slivers of grass in the front. And like we've always had just like landscapers. I feel like landscapers are big in Nassau County specifically, where like they'll just go down the street and just knock out those little slivers of grass and be on their way. Never did that, and then went to the city. Obviously, didn't need one in the city, so I've really never had my hands on the rig.
I miss mowing lawns a little bit. It's actually like it's a calming, soothing, maybe even a meditative experience. You just keep going in squares and squares and squares, and it gets smaller and smaller. It's I've mowed hundreds of lawns in my life. Probably the same 2 lawns. I used to mow the lawn where I grew up like once a week, and then I mowed my grandpa's lawn once a week. So I would do that. I did that for years. It's nice. Throw on some headphones. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's very satisfying because you simplify your life for like an hour, where it's like, this is the task, and I'm just going to finish the task. And it's very visual. You can just see that you're like finishing the task. And it's, once you're done, it looks more beautiful. And you're like, I did that, everyone. That was me.
Right. For the most part, we wake up in the morning, we're like, I don't know what's going to happen. This is just the most confusing thing that's ever happened. Waking up in the morning, I don't know where my life is going to go. But when you're right, when you mow a lawn, you just know what to do. And then when you're done, it looks beautiful. And then it grows back like a week and a half, 2 weeks later, and you just do it all over again. It's great.
I'm looking forward to doing it. Hopefully when I get a house, I can get a nice lawnmower and I can have that time to myself. I think that's a nice thing. I also love the aesthetics of it and and what you're saying, that it's like pleasing and satisfying to look at. I am obsessed, and I used to be like this. I was such a weird kid. When I was
you definitely used to be a weird kid.
When I was like in Little League baseball,
sure.
I would like be obsessed with the guys getting the baseball field ready. And like I loved the idea of watering the infield because it was so like there was so much like satisfaction to watching a dry infield get sprayed by a hose and get darker, and you like get every little crevice of the dirt, and you move your way from like third base to first base. When I used to go to Yankee games, I couldn't keep my eyes off the guys getting the field ready. And I think that kind of bled into like behind the greens, man.
You would love mowing a lawn.
Oh,
you would love it.
I think that's why I love behind the greens so much. Like watching guys just spray grass and like cut grass. Like there's something about that my whole life that I've loved. Maybe it's because I've never done it myself.
We got to get this guy a lawn to mow.
We got to film a video of you mowing a lawn. Like that would be just watch.
How great would it be if we did a behind the greens, like super dramatic video of you just mowing a lawn?
We should do it. Yeah, I mean that would be nice. Let me get a lawn first, and then maybe we can do a behind the greens with like Scott's Lawn Care. I do a behind the greens of my own greens.
Right. I think it's a great idea. You're gonna love it.
Trent, did you have like a riding one, or did you have a pusher?
Push.
Yeah, me and my
the yards
brother
weren't. Yeah, the yards weren't like big enough to justify a riding mower necessarily. So it was all push, which I didn't mind at all.
I remember, like me and my brother, we had 2 of the pushers. They're both really old school. We would just like tag team it. We came up with like a plan, and then we kind of just became like we just knew that plan, and we executed that plan like once a week. And then eventually, when we grew out of it, we all went to school. I remember my mom got like a John Deere riding lawnmower. And then she became obsessed with, she would just be like, no, I'll handle the lawn. And she could just whip that thing around the lawn and have it looking damper, beautiful, clean in like 10 minutes it felt like, whereas it used to take us forever to fucking run those things around.
My buddy was in he was like in some Midwest state the other day for a wedding, and he sent me a Snapchat of I don't know, one of those
We're just all the same, dude.
one of those
all the
fucking
Midwest states of the
and he sent me a Snapchat of the dude across the street mowing his lawn in like a outfield baseball pattern where it was like this way and that way. And it was just like that guy had it so mint. Oh my God. I got a really good laugh out of that because like,
I'll tell you
why
what,
are you doing that?
When you get older, I think what happens is your lawn becomes very important to you. Like it just becomes a point of pride. You see the other lawns in the neighborhood and you want yours to look the best. You don't want, I don't know. It just seems like when you reach a certain age, 40, 45, 50, the lawn sort of takes over your life. So that's something you got to look forward to as well.
I was going to say a neighbor's lawn seemed to be just as important. Like whether it's shit talking or getting angry about like the way it makes the street look, the town look. Like I feel like people's lawns are often looked down upon, right? And like there's a lot of animosity when it comes to lawn care.
Yes.
I think too for people, like it becomes one of the few things in your life that's like yours and you control it. It's like up to you.
And it's earth, right? It's like your piece of the earth that you have to take care of, which is like kind of funny.
It's like your duty. You're like, this is my earth part here. I got this, everybody. And then if somebody's dragging next to you, you're like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on. That's your part of the earth. Figure it out.
It's very important.
All right. We had a little bit of golf this weekend. Cam Champ won. What a weird sort of resume he's got. He won the 3M, par of the 18th hole after pulling driver. Everybody freaked out, but he ended up just making a par anyways, won by a couple shots. Third career PGA Tour title. First amazing fact of that is that's more than Tony Finau and Louis Oosthuizen combined in terms of PGA Tour wins.
That's mean that you put that in there. That's just mean. That's a mean statistic that you decided to put on this show.
Interesting statistic that I saw on Twitter, and I thought I would regurgitate it here on the show.
A lot of guys you could pull stats from that probably add up to less than that as well. But Tony Finau and Louis Oosthuizen are always going to get just the shit end of the stick when it comes to comparing stats.
Two guys who have stacked up the most cash the last 3 or 4 years, but they still just get shit all over when a guy like Cameron Champ wins, and then we put in a statistic that, he's won more than Louis and Tony combined. It's unfortunately part of their own doing, but they're living pretty nicely.
Cam Champ had made one cut since before the PGA Championship. So he's just been missing cuts left and right. He had no top 10 since October at the Zozo, and then he just appears and wins. So it really kind of speaks to the game, how ridiculous it is. I think he was like high 180s or 200th or something coming in strokes gained putting, and then he was just number one by a billion, strokes gained this week in the strokes gained putting category. So just goes to show you, man, any day, any week, anything can change a little bit. All of a sudden your game clicks, and it can go the other way really quickly, as we've talked about a million times, where you could just lose it. But yeah, he had a pretty, he had a cool few comments, I thought, in his presser afterwards, mostly just kind of highlighting the fact that I needed to figure out how to, be happy with like my life and be more than just a golfer, that I'm like, I'm a husband, I'm a family man, I have friends, and that's way more important. Remind me a little bit of kind of the Matt Wolff stuff that we heard, during the U.S. Open and since the U.S. Open, which is incredibly important. So yeah, Cam Champ comes out of the clouds and wins. He's got 3 wins. Amazing. He's got 3 wins.
How old is this guy? He's super young. Yeah, 26. All right. What do you think about him pulling driver on 18? I know Frank Nobilo and Colton Oast had like a conniption that was happening. He hit it into the shit, but like it didn't seem like that big of a deal.
No, I liked it because he addressed it afterwards, and he's like, "That's just a driver hole for me, 100 times out of 100. So I'm pulling driver. I'm not going to change that because of the I feel like he almost came off like he'd be putting more pressure on himself to change the strategy, and then be like, "Ooh, you're going outside of the way that we said we were going to play the course." Whereas he's like, "Nope, this is a driver hole. I'm playing the hole. I'm going to hit driver." And that's pretty much what he did, and it worked out.
I also saw that, Ricky Fowler, my guy, my fellow stablemate, he was making a run at it this weekend, and then he made an 8 on 18. one of the days. I believe that was Saturday. And what I want to say is that we just got to eliminate 8s from the card. I think that's like the Till gang mentality at this point. You just can't make 8s. If you make 8s, you're not going to get where you're going. Ricky Fowler, it's a PGA Tour win. For me, it's to eventually break 100. So if we can just eliminate the 8s, that 18th hole was fucking people up all weekend. It was
just slaughtering people. I felt like every
who
time
made it 12.
somebody made a 12, there's like a PGA Tour just tweeted out like a graphic of where all the shots went when a person made a 12 on 18. It's like, what is going on with this hole? But yeah, I think if we're being honest, as a golf podcast, the Till gang eliminating 8s, I think would help. Definitely.
Across the board.
Across the board.
All Till gang members.
Yeah, I'm one of them, and I want to eliminate 8s. I know you're
I got
looking
a
at me.
little
You're
frog
not
in my
looking at
throat.
Ricky Fowler. You got what?
A little frog in my throat. Speaking of Slick Rick, I've noticed that he's been coming out. You see this right now? Hold on. Speaking of Slick Rick, I've noticed that he's been coming out with the all black outfits recently. Remember when we had that conversation about should Ricky Fowler rejuvenate his look and reinvent himself to no longer being the color, the color of a Sharpie pen when it comes, or the highlighters when it's the all orange popsicle sticks and the bright blues and all the Puma hats that match the pants, the shoes, the shirt. All of a sudden he started coming out with these all black Slick Rick type outfits, and he's starting to play better golf. I mean, yes, there's some, we got to give some credit to the Till gang and John Tillery in getting our guy Ricky Fowler back into competition. But also, here's another thing that's getting this guy back in. Have you noticed there's been a lot of stats coming out that this guy is just a better player with glasses on? Have you seen all the comparisons? So
No.
Slick Rick is just seeing the course better. That's this PGA Tour tweet. And strokes gained putting this season, he was minus 17.4 strokes gained putting this season before wearing glasses, and now he's 11.78. It's a turnaround that the PGA Tour has never quite seen in strokes gained putting. And the only thing that they could decipher the difference between one stat and the other was that he's now wearing glasses on the golf course. Prescription sunglasses, regular glasses. Once he has bifocals on his head, he putts better, plays better, and has a chance to win the tournament.
Well, then, I mean, what's been going on with Trent? Trent's wearing glasses on the course all the time.
It's true.
I mean, ask anybody who watches the videos, they'll give you an opinion on what I'm doing wrong. I've just been inundated with tips. And again, I appreciate everyone watching. The videos do extremely well. Sometimes I play like fucking shit and I can't get the ball in the hole and I make 8s, and a lot of people think that it's my glasses, or they think it's because I wear quarter zips and pants in the middle of summer, despite I'm just going to wear whatever I want all the time. I don't care what people think about that. And it's just, I get a lot of tips when the bottom line is I just got to stop making 8s and I got to putt a little bit better.
Now, I don't know for sure if these are prescription. These could be just sunglasses. So that's something that you're really not able to do. Like sunglasses, maybe, because he's wearing sunglasses in all the pictures that they have in these graphics. You're not able to wear sunglasses because you already wear glasses, right? You're not going to do the double glasses. That's an insane move. I don't even know if that works with a golf swing.
I think maybe you can get. I mean, you can get prescription sunglasses. That would probably be the next step.
Right. I don't know, man. Maybe there's something
Phil,
that's seeing the course. Yeah, Phil.
Like he just all of a sudden wears sunglasses and won the PGA Championship. So there's got to be something to this.
I'm not good at I could probably wear regular glasses playing golf, but I can't wear sunglasses for some reason. There's it's almost like you're looking through why can't I think of that word?
Magnifying glass?
Magnifying glass. Yeah. Where it kind of just magnifies the ball. Like the ball's not, let's say the ball is.
Bro, that's what glasses are.
No, I know, but regular glasses, you don't see a difference. But for some reason with sunglasses, I don't know, because of the change of color, I always feel like I can't get my bearings down on how far the ball is from my eyes. You know what I mean? It's just what's happening here? I can't. And I've worn contacts and glasses my whole life, but there's something about golf. I just can't do it. I can't look through lenses, and I can't get
How did you play at Brookville that day that you wore
bearings.
glasses on the golf course? How'd you play that day?
I think I played all right, but it was very weird again. Like it looked weird. It was like I was looking through something to see the ball, which is what you're actually physically doing. And I don't like that feeling. It amazes me when you see Phil just like playing with sunglasses on and winning like the PGA championship. I can't like comprehend how that's possible.
Yeah, I guess as a normal glasses wearer, it doesn't. I mean, I'm just so used to it at this point. But I do agree that sunglasses, looking through them, you get a very different view of what's going on. I don't know if it would make me better. I don't know if it would make me worse. But I do know that it's just because everything looks so much different than it normally does. I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe I need to start wearing sunglasses on a golf course.
Then
and
you
that'll
have
help me play
certain
better.
guys. You have certain guys that will wear them on the back of their heads, and it always blows my mind that those things stay on too. Have you ever seen that move? It's a very
I've seen
like
it on. I have a lot of baseball players do that. I feel like.
yeah, they'll wear it on the back of their head, right? And it's just like, how does that stay up there?
How about the guys in baseball who are in the outfield? They have the flip downs,
Oh, yeah.
and when the ball gets hit to them, they flip them down, and that's how they see
Yeah.
the ball. That's witchcraft, man.
It's awesome.
I'm back, boys. Did
Yeah,
you notice I
for a
left?
second. Yes, I did.
Yeah, you were
But I'm-
frozen. You were frozen, smiling, and I thought you were just enjoying the conversation that Frankie and I were having, but instead you were completely
Dude,
frozen.
I tried to be as as little of a distraction how much internet issues I was going through as I could. So I was like, I'm just gonna look normal and hopefully I just reappear, and then all of a sudden I reappear. You guys still trying to figure out glasses?
Well, yeah, we kind of filibustered there because we didn't know when you were popping back in. So we finished off the glasses talk. I'm sure for the betterment of the podcast and the brand. I don't know how much longer we have to talk about glasses. So
Well, we do have Blender's Eyewear coming up in a few minutes, so we'll talk more about them then. Yeah.
Look at that.
And first, we do have to talk about Barstool Golf Time because I know people out there are looking for an easier way to play golf and to book tee times. You got to book your next tee time at one of the thousands of courses available by downloading our brand new Barstool Golf Time app. This is our app. This is what we worked on. This is the information that we input into app developers who then go use their ninja techniques and actually create apps, which I'll never understand. But we had people that did that, partnered up with Supreme Golf. Rewards programs, baby. You book tee times, okay? The more tee times you book using the Barstool Golf Time app, you'll get discounts on merch and reviews, right? We want review-based golf app. You want to know what the course is like, what it's playing like, what your fellow peers, listeners, foreplay listeners, Barstool like-minded folk thought of the course. They're going to give it a rating on a star system. They're going to write reviews. They might upload photos, upload videos. You can do that too, and that's how you earn more points. You got to have reviews, gentlemen.
got to have reviews. The only way to know how it's going, how is the course being kept up in good shape, are people that play the same style of golf as you enjoying the course. It's peer reviewed, golf apps is just the way to go. You can't trust the source. You have to trust, your friends and peers. You cannot trust like a golf course putting up a picture from 1995 when it first opened, and then they say, "Oh, come to our course." You show up, and it's just a dog track. So the Barstool Golf Time app just has fixed that problem.
Fix the problem. So now, do yourself a favor, book your next round, your next tee time by downloading our new Barstool Golf Time app, available now in the App Store. And then, like I said, make sure you leave some reviews, help people out. Louis Oosthuizen, I know I took, he took a little bit of a ricochet shot earlier, but a little stat here, a little list of stats here. Since winning the 2010 British Open, he finished tied for second this week. He has finished 2012 Masters second, 2021 U.S. Open second, 2015 U.S. Open tied for second, 2015 British Open tied for second, 2017 PGA tied for second, 2021 PGA tied for second, 2021 U.S. Open third, 2021 British Open tied for third.
Sickening.
Unreal that someone could have that roster and have only won one major championship.
That goes back to the Olympics thing we were talking about, where it's just razor thin where he's not winning these things, and it's just he's playing so well. And like I would love to know how he really feels about the way he finishes, because the one way you can look at it is kind of what we mentioned before too, where he's just making a ton of money. If you finish that high at these prestigious golf tournaments, you are going to make buttloads of money. But also the flip side of that is got to be maddening, and it's got to keep him up at night, and he's got to be in cold sweats thinking about where have I gone wrong in all of these tournaments to just finish second and third, because it's just a shot here, a shot there, and we're talking about Louis Oosthuizen as one of the greatest major championship winners of all time.
Of all time.
Right.
I mean, he's right there to be an all-time great. At the end of the day, he just won't be. And that's really hard to handle for Louis Oosthuizen. I know at the end of the day, he makes all the money, and he's, a name that is always in contention. But, man, when you rattle off that list and you're that fucking close, that hurts, man. And that hurts until you're in the grave. Like, that is – Louis Oosthuizen will know that he was on the precipice of all-time greatness. A shot here, a shot there, a putt drops, a lip out here. It's just – you're talking all-time greats.
Right, because when they talk about Jack Nicklaus, they always bring up the second place finish fact. And I forget what the number is, but it's a huge number.
I think it's 19 times. I think 19
right, of
times.
that 19 times Jack Nicklaus finished second in majors, but he's also got the 18 wins. So it's like you can stomach the second place finishes when you've got all the wins. Louis Oosthuizen is like the bizarro version of that, where he's got all the second place finishes, but only one of the major wins. That's just got to drive him crazy.
Dude, I'm looking now. Like, if you have 5 majors, you're like a top 15 player, of all time. There's just not that many people that have won 5 major championships. Even if you get like 4, you're in the top 20, 25 or so of most major championships in the history of the game of golf. And he's right there. He's got the one. If just 3 of those that we listed, he was a shot or 2 better, he's just vaulted into the top 20 or 30 players from a major championship point in the history of the game of golf. And instead, he's just Louis Oosthuizen. Fucking,
yeah, and now
I can't even say his name.
In 80 years, you just don't think about him.
Unfortunately. Right, because we're talking about it now because we're living in it and we can see it. We're like, this is crazy how much he's finishing in second. But you're right, 80, 100 years down the road, they're going to talk about the guys who did win the majors. They're going to talk about Brooks and Rory, who had, they got 4, and then it goes all the way up from there. They're not going to talk about Louis, unfortunately.
No, they're not. But he could have been on top of them all, on top of all those guys.
It's so disrespectful to just call him Louis Oosthuizen and be serious about it and just not know how else to say it. God, that guy, that's what he gets. That's just what he gets. Reminds me of Chris DeMarco. Like Chris DeMarco, when you go back and watch Tiger Woods highlights from like the early 2000s, Chris DeMarco was just right there every time. It's like fucking 5 years in a row. It's like Masters, British Opens, all these tournaments. He's right there hitting putts and like giving little fist bumps. He's so close, and he just couldn't win because a guy named Tiger Woods, Eldrick Woods, cleaned them all up. It's got to be incredibly frustrating for poor Louis Oosthuizen.
Probably even more frustrating because we're outside of the Tiger era. Like it's just different guys. Yeah, it's like probably a deeper roster of guys that can win on a week-to-week basis or during these majors. But still, it's not that there's one dominant guy. It's just that Louis always finishes in second, and it's a different guy every single time.
I mean, you're talking 3 U.S. Opens, 3 Opens, 2 PGAs, and a Masters. The Masters this guy could have had under his belt. I mean, the Grand Slam. Louis Oosthuizen would have gone down as one of the greatest golfers of all time, but instead he finished second in all of the tournaments. It's just unfortunate.
It is. It's too. You're right, Trent. It's not a dominating era. It's just like the Oprah gif. It's like, Bryson gets a major. Phil gets a major. He's 50. Yeah, you want a major over there. Go for it. Louis is just there every time. Can't pick one off to save his life. It's brutal.
I think I saw, getting back to the money part of it, the positive aspect of it, I think in the last 2 seasons, he had made something like $4.8 million. And then in the last 2 months, he's made $4.8 million. So, again, that's the thing where it pays off. But if you were talking about legacy and how you want to be remembered in the game of golf, he's going to just get passed over when they talk about it.
Yeah, and it's like, the Masters Champions dinner. Like, he wants to be there, man. He wants to have that green jacket. And it's like, no, you did. I mean, yeah, we heard you made that $4 million. That's cool, but you got to maybe mix in a win here, buddy. So he does have the one. He won it at St. Andrews. That's really cool. But, man, the fact that he's come up that short that many times since then, it's tough. He's playing great golf. It also doesn't feel like he's going to stop playing great. He's got that simple swing. It doesn't look like much can go wrong. Good putter. So we'll see. Hopefully Louis picks off a couple majors because it's starting to, feel bad.
I mean, at this point, maybe just continue to finish in second, and that's his part in history. If he continues to just finish in second in majors, they will talk about him if it's an outrageous number. If he gets to 10, 15 second place finishes, Louis Oosthuizen will go down in history as the guy who came close that many times.
Well, then Tony Finau is going to pass him in that legacy too. It's right. A race for who's the best second place finisher of all time.
At the end of the day, it's a legacy.
I guess.
It's a legacy. We do have two guys who are just habitual second place finishers. We got Tony Finau, who's a habitual regular PGA Tour event second place finisher, and Oosthuizen, who just does it in majors all the time. So yeah, hopefully those guys can break through, and then we won't have to keep making fun of him and laughing at his name. Olympics. Jon Rahm test positive for COVID-19, so he's out of the Olympics. I'm not a medical professional, but I don't know how this is possible. He just had COVID a month ago or whatever, and then got vaccinated, and then he's out of the Olympics with COVID again.
We need this, not a laughing matter, but we need Jon Rahm to be at a lab right now getting studied by scientists because he's confusing everyone. And I'm with Riggs. Like, I'm not a medical scientist. I don't have any sort of background like that. But I was under the impression that you just couldn't keep getting COVID over and over and over again. Especially, I think he said that he's vaccinated now. He got vaccinated the week of the Memorial, and then he got it, and then he got it again. Like, he is a medical marvel right now, and we got to figure out what's going on with Jon Rahm because he could be the link to figuring this whole thing out.
Well, it's either he's a medical marvel or they've just messed up his life, his recent life with like bad tests or something, right? Like I feel bad for Jon Rahm if something like went awry when it comes to his testing, whether it was like a false positive at the Memorial and he actually didn't have it because maybe like something from his vaccination showed up on a test, or now since he was positive just 2 months ago, is he still positive now since he hasn't gotten tested since getting vaccinated at the Memorial? He probably hasn't gotten tested at any of those sites. Now he gets tested at the Olympics. It's like, is he just still positive from when he was positive 2 months ago? So it's like, is this guy just getting bamboozled and hoodwinked and fucked over? Is Jon Rahm getting destroyed by just the world, by the medical field? I feel bad for the guy. There's no way. No one else this is happening to.
Right. I think there's a very real chance that what you're saying is true, where he started down the wrong path with it, and then he caught all the wrong breaks in the testing and the vaccination. Like, yeah, maybe it was a false positive with the vaccine, and then he gets it tested, and it's negative, but then he gets tested. Because he got tested 2 times, they said, for the Olympics, and then the 3rd time was the positive test. So then is that a false positive? Like, I just don't know what's going on with Jon Rahm, but it almost seems impossible for him to have it again right now. But he does.
It's just crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's credit to Jon Rahm because we've talked about him at length on this podcast about being just a lunatic and a ticking time bomb and someone that just can't handle like the pressure of like life and golf and things going wrong. He just wants to snap. He wants to break clubs. He wants to jump into ponds and throw his caddy across the room. He's just that kind of guy. And when like all the stuff that's happened to him this year with like getting pulled off of a win at the Memorial and now getting pulled out of the Olympics. Like, how is he handling this stuff? Like, credit to Jon Rahm. He's really proving us wrong when it comes to his temper.
And like in between him just racking up positive COVID tests, he won the U.S. Open in amazing fashion and finished 3rd at the British Open. So it's like he's clearly handling all this really well and playing some of the best golf. It's like I almost was convinced he just didn't want to go or something. And like, but I don't understand how you're vaccinated to get COVID again. I thought it was like 3 people in the history of the world have gotten COVID twice. Like, I didn't know that was a real thing, but I think it has to just be the testing. It just doesn't make sense that he would have it again.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm befuddled. That's the word I would use. And I think that crossed my mind too, Riggs, where he was just trying to think of an excuse to not go and play in the Olympics. But if that's the case, you just have to think of a better excuse. Like everybody knows, it was one of the more publicized thing when he got at the Memorial and then got out of quarantine just in time to then win the U.S. Open. I don't know what's going on with Jon Rahm. I have no idea.
It was bizarre. It was a very bizarre report when I saw that. It is, the Olympics for the athletes to compete, and a handful of them have brought this up, spoken about it, and some people react to that, those conversations and those comments in different ways. But it is, I was seeing they got to do like 3 tests just before they're even like allowed in, and then they got to wait in the customs line that's been like 5 to like 9 hours long, and so my first instinct was like, oh, he just like doesn't want to go, or maybe he came up with a positive test that like was probably not, they probably could just retest him and get a negative test, but I don't know, I just thought he was maybe trying to like just look for something to be like, I'm all set, I don't really need to go. But it seems, from his statement and all that, which he's handled all of the last 2 months really well, that he is nothing but, classy, handled everything classy, and he therefore wouldn't, like, of all the things that you could do, I don't think he would make up a false or a positive COVID test to not go. So I think he did just test positive, and he's not going, which is bizarre. Bryson DeChambeau also test positive. He is now not going to the Olympics. I guess there's really not much to say on it other than it's just people test positive for COVID still.
I think Bryson DeChambeau has had the craziest year of maybe anyone on planet Earth. Every single time there's a quote-unquote opportunity for like a headline to be made, and this isn't that. This is just like a positive test. But going back the whole year, it feels like the world revolves around Bryson DeChambeau. At every turn, something happens. It's honestly incredible.
It really is, man. He's just it's so true. He's a headline maker. Like whether it's positive, negative, outrageous, he figures out a way to just steal the show. And unfortunately, this time it was a positive test. I don't know what's going on over there at the Olympics with these positive tests. It's just unfortunate that these guys aren't able to compete. And it sucks. It just sucks for Bryson, man. He's had a fucking crazy year, an absolutely crazy year. Could have been a great turnaround for him if he was like Mr. America and winning, and he won the gold, and he was driving the ball 400 yards, and like what a good little pick me up it would have been for Bryson. And then like probably would have taken a shot at Brooks with like a gold medal picture or something, like it would have been like his one leg up. And unfortunately it's like, oh, you can't go, you have COVID. It's just so tough.
Dude, he does just steals everything. Like the British Open, maybe the biggest story out of it was Bryson saying his driver sucks. Like that was, that got so much press, and it's just week after week after week. It was like his caddy and him splitting up like right before that, and then saying his driver sucks. And then you're right. It's like, oh, there's golf at the Olympics. That's going to be cool. Headline: Bryson DeChambeau, COVID, out of the Olympics. So he's just been all over the place, and he'll never change, I don't think. From spritzing his golf balls to melting down after I can't remember which tournament that was over in the UK, but I think it was like the Scottish Open or something where he was melting down, banging his head against the wall.
Dude, if you had gone back, like if you went back years on this podcast when we originally were talking about Bryson DeChambeau, and then he buried Frankie when he came on the show talking about butter knives, like at no point did I think we'd still be talking about this guy in this way 3 years later. Like he hasn't left for a second. And whether it's something of his own doing, like the caddy stuff, or saying his driver sucks, or all the Brooks stuff, or now the positive test, like he never leaves the limelight of golf. And again, we go back and forth on him every single show. He's extremely annoying and he's frustrating when you hear him talk, but he just brings it every single time with the headlines. So I just can't believe 3 years later we're still talking about this guy.
He gave Frankie a chipping lesson at the PGA Championship.
And was very invested in it. Like he was like, don't worry about the people that are watching. Everyone's making fun of you. Like they're laughing, they're screaming. Let's just dial it in. Like he drew a line in the ground, said, hit the line as hard as you can. He took my club and hit it lefty. The whole place went crazy. At Bethpage, it was like one of the greatest golf moments I've ever been a part of. At Bethpage Black, PGA Championship, my like home course that I've grown up playing. Bryson DeChambeau, who was like the biggest story at the PGA Championship. He was just Bryson DeChambeau at the time. Like everyone actually liked Bryson at that time. Well, maybe not everyone, but he was definitely a more likable figure at that time.
Yeah,
he was.
Just
And he was doing a lot more with us. He was doing more with us at that time. We'd had him on the show a few times.
Yeah.
Like, he was pretty positive right then.
dude.
Remember that interaction?
We hugged at the President's Cup. We brought it in for a nice hug. That's when he was really big.
Remember that interaction at the PGA where like we didn't know how he was gonna like, because we hadn't seen him in person in a long time. I don't even know if ever. And then we all like bumped into each other at the PGA, and he's like, "Oh, look at these guys!" And like we all like pushed each other, and like it was a fun back and forth. It sucks that it's turned into like he's a lunatic and a sociopath and every single time something comes out of him, you hate it.
Oh yeah, he was the first guy we ran into at the PGA Championship at Bethpage Black. And we were just like, these guys. And then we went our separate ways. Like that was, I think I went, this guy. And that was like the first interaction. And then Riggs and I were running around the property trying to find a lefty wedge while Frankie was like preparing to get a lesson from Bryson. Like that, man, what a time.
That guy he's a headline maker. He was the first person we saw. Like that's just what he does. He's in the headlines, and it's going to keep going like this. He's a roller coaster. Sometimes he's likable. Sometimes he's almost like he's beloved in a way, and because you just kind of feel for him, and he comes off as a little bit like sensitive and interesting, and he's the scientist, and that's different. And then sometimes you just want to punch him in the face. You're like, God, this guy.
It's crazy.
I do think.
So it's
I
crazy
think the next
how up and down it is.
I think the next step for him is dropping his equipment sponsor and making his own clubs. I think that's the next thing that happens with Bryson. That's my prediction.
I also think he needs to go on the Foreplay podcast and have an absolute just like an emergency press conference on exactly what is going on in his brain and how is his life going, and talk about the Brooks stuff. Like, be an open book and don't be and like when it comes to being an open book, like don't have your own YouTube page where you come up with these weird fucking videos that everyone thinks you're like a weirdo in. Like let's actually talk to normal human beings that are going to ask you questions, and have like right now we all are just like, he's a victim of just what we see of him on the internet. And like, we don't really get to just hear Bryson DeChambeau. Like, I want him to cry on a podcast. Like, I want him to be like, this fucking sucks, man. Like, my life sucks right now. And I just wish like the ball would stop rolling away from me. Like, I need to take control of this shit. Like right now he's just falling down a hill, and we need to just like hold him up. Just save the guy from death.
His YouTube presence is so bizarre. I mean,
cringeworthy.
The guy just posting his own, like, and I think you're right, Frankie. That is his version of like, I'm controlling the narrative. People get a real look at me. Like, it's the most edited. It's just not reality. It's like Instagram in a YouTube version. It's like that's not the real version of anyone. What you're putting on YouTube right now. So yeah, I think he would benefit dramatically from doing that instead of currently what he's doing. But like I said, I mean, at times he's endearing and we've loved him, and he came on and chirped Frankie, which is still, I think, in our intro, and he's been really, really cool and really invested. And there's been stories about him running into fans, kids, and always being great with them. We've seen him being great with fans and kids. But like I said, sometimes he just cannot help himself and get into situations that makes you want to just puke when you hear him talk or say anything, and that's something he's got to get away from. I think coming on here would probably be a good way to do it.
He's still our logo. So either he comes on and we figure this out and he stays the logo, or we just move on and we find a new logo. Like, he needs to, like, I'm actually putting an ultimatum on this shit. If he's not on this show by the end of August, we have to change the logo. And I think right? Like, if Bryson DeChambeau does not come on this show and give us a tell-all, like, just, everything that's happening in his life type of podcast, we are changing the logo, and we will be never ever associating ourselves with that picture, that image ever again.
I like it.
Deal.
End of August.
Fresh from San Diego, California, ladies and gentlemen, comes the only sunglasses brand I'm ever going to wear. Again, I'm talking about Blenders Eyewear. You're going to be just as hooked when you see how awesome these shades are. And apparently, according to Frankie, glasses just make you play better golf. So
They do. This is a nice opportunity. So in the beginning of the show, I said I don't really like playing golf with sunglasses on because I think it magnifies or at least distorts my viewing of the golf ball. But I really haven't given it that many chances. I haven't tried it that often. I definitely haven't tried it for more than a hole or even one shot when I do it. So maybe I'm just going to become a glasses guy on the golf course. It clearly works. Phil Mickelson won the PGA doing this.
it works. Well, I'm just going by what you're telling me that it's working. So, sure, I'm going to claim that it's going to work too. I'm in. Chase Fisher started Blenders by selling his beachy shades out of a backpack while doubling as a surf instructor on Pacific Beach. His goal to create an adventurous, mid-priced eyewear option with the same cool factor as other leading styles. Unlike expensive big brand shades that you've probably lost or smashed, we've all been there with sunglasses. Blenders are actually affordable. You're not going to be as upset when the inevitable happens. Blenders' team of in-house designers are constantly coming out with new styles, from orange polarized wraparounds, tortoise shells, not tortoise shells. That doesn't really make any sense.
Tortoise.
With purple lenses, the classic gold arms on black lens. It's not just sunglasses. Blenders has prescription glasses, readers, and blue lights, as well as snow collection with goggles and accessories. To score 15% off your Blenders purchase, visit blenderseyewear.com. Enter the code FOREPLAYVIP. That's all one word. You go to blenderseyewear.com. The code to get 15% off is FOREPLAYVIP. 15% off. Blenders, rocked with pride worldwide. Ooh, I like that line.
Yeah, so I actually ordered these, and they're coming. And I ordered the Natty Ice Lime X2. They're these they're almost like the see-through frame with bright green lenses. You know what? I took a risk. I'm let me just.
Clearly.
It's summertime and the living's easy, and I just want to wear sunglasses that make me look cool. And if they don't look cool, I'm gonna keep rocking them because they're Blenders. I took a risk, man. Sometimes you gotta just do it.
I like that you took a risk. I feel like that's kind of up your alley of where you feel comfortable taking risks. You do it with your outfit sometimes. You show up to a wedding without a tie. This is kind of what you do.
Yeah, I do.
We're going to need a picture of those glasses when you get them.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
All right. Olympics for the golf element. Like I said, 6:30 p.m. starting, I think, Wednesday night until 3:30 a.m. is when, the golf coverage will be on for the next 5 days. You okay, Frankie?
Yeah, just I didn't know what that noise was. These headphones are I'm just in the show. So anything that's happened to me around the world, I do not know. And I heard a noise in which I thought I had to take my headphones off, but now it's not there.
That's why Trent doesn't like to wear the noise canceling ones. Really,
he doesn't
talk.
He can't hear himself.
Yeah, but I think
True.
But I think, well, for me, a part of the reason I don't love to wear them all the time when I do the show either is because, like you said, Frankie, this is the only thing that you can be in, and I don't want to lose full awareness of everything around me.
I will say what I've been doing recently is I plug my headphones into the mic that we use right here. You plug it into the bottom, and you can just hear everything around you. I just heard somebody come out of their apartment, out in the hallway, and I could hear that. So it's the best of both worlds.
How much better that microphone just sounded when you pulled it a little bit closer to your face. It sounded like a microphone. I mean, it's...
Dude, but the problem is
oh
sometimes...
my God, that's crazy.
Wow, you sound so clear right
this
now.
Is crazy.
But then I'll get tweets, people being like, Trent is shattering my eardrums. If
but
I
why
get
don't
too
you put
close
it
to it, it's super loud.
It's got to be in front of you, though. You have it all the way to your left. Who cares if it's in the shot?
I don't know. I don't care. I really don't. I'm just saying that when I've done this in the past, it becomes
so much
too
better.
loud, and I feel bad for the people who are listening when it's they're just in the morning trying to listen to a podcast, and I'm yelling at them with a megaphone.
We're in the same room right now, Trent. It sounds like you have entered my room and you are talking to me at this table.
All right, I'm gonna.
My
keep
audio
it right here.
stinks today too because I didn't bring the dongle or whatever the fuck that word is. These MacBook Pros, these new ones that don't have any USB import, the input things or imports. It's preposterous. I'm gonna say it again in this fucking show.
Mark it down.
It is mark it down on the calendar that I said preposterous again. It is the only thing that goes into this laptop is a USB-C connection. So then you got to buy a thing that goes into that you have to then put the USB into the See? Come on, Apple, be better. Like, how could it be that hard to put one USB thing in there?
Well, they're actually doing it they're doing it in a way where you have to buy all new shit. That's why they're Apple. That's why they're Apple.
Is it called a dongle? Is that right?
I think so.
You know, I don't know. I've heard it once. It could be like a doggle. I've said dongle. I don't know. I've been saying that for the last couple of years too. So
I've actually been thinking about asking Pete for a new laptop. It sounds like I actually don't want to do that.
No, Jake or Garrett in the background. Is it dongle?
It's a dongle, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Dongle. I will say about a year ago, Trent, I got a new laptop, and it was a good move. But like Frankie said, it's you just have to learn a new system. You got to plug a dongle in and then plug everything into a dongle just to use the shit that you usually use.
That's infuriating, especially when you're traveling. Sometimes you forget the dongle because, like, I was doing the podcast at home, and now I'm doing the podcast in Minnesota. It's just like, where's the dongle? Oh, I know exactly where the dongle is. It's on my desk at my house. Like, it's not here in Minnesota. Even though I have everything else, I don't have the dongle. So I got to talk through the laptop. Yeah.
You're not going to get a new one now, are you, Trent?
You've put seeds of doubt into my mind with this conversation, just because I know how everything works right now, and I have everything, and I can plug my microphone in, and it all works. But I mean, the prospect of a new laptop, every time, like a new laptop or a new phone, like that makes my balls tingle. It's fun. It's really fun getting new stuff.
Be tingling your balls with that new laptop, that new power. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Thinking about having a brand new MacBook Pro makes my balls feel different.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a fresh start, which is nice. When you have a brand new laptop, it's like nothing's on it yet. You get to choose what all goes on it. It's faster. Feels like when you were a kid, I remember getting a new computer, got a new computer once or twice, and then the video games that I would play would be so much faster. Mm-hmm. And I used to be the loser that lagged behind, and instead now you've got a legitimate game playing device, it felt like, and you were going to be 10 times better. You were back.
Dude, I remember when I bought my first laptop, the first laptop that was my own, and I remember tracking using the tracking number and figuring out that it was out for delivery, and then literally standing in my front yard all day waiting for that truck to pull up, because it's such an exciting endeavor to get a brand new laptop, because it's a blank slate. You can do whatever you want. What
a visual of you in front of your house in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, with your hands on your hips, being like, where's this truck?
Because I was like, it's definitely coming, because when something's out for delivery, it's coming to your house. So I was so excited that I could not stand inside the house anymore. I had to stand outside.
Is there a better feeling than getting a new phone, specifically an iPhone, and taking off that plastic and that noise and that feeling of revealing that brand new fucking face of that phone, that screen?
No, there is no better feeling.
Although I did get that feeling with the TaylorMade P790s. They actually wrapped the irons in that type of plastic, and the feeling of ripping it off was pretty damn similar to an iPhone one. It didn't just crumble off. It actually peeled off.
Yeah, and you get the sense immediately you're the first person that's ever touched the face of this device.
Oh. First human. Yeah, no, that's true.
See, now you guys are getting my balls all excited.
Oh, man, you could rip it right off. You know what, though? Pete usually takes that thing off before he gives it to you, because he puts some spy watching porn fucking thing on our computers and watches us everything we search.
I am concerned about that, because I think that's true. I think he does have a program that tracks. He's able to, I don't know if he does, he probably definitely does, where he can see what everyone's doing. So I don't do anything on my laptop.
We've joked with him dude, I know Nate's been very serious about this. He goes, do you see what we do? And he's like, don't worry about it, with a smiley face. Or he'll say no and he'll giggle and walk away. That all business Pete.
It's fucked up.
I'm 100% convinced that Pete watches what we do on our laptops, and I will say that I just don't really care that much. I don't think you can
Trent's thinking about the things that he definitely cares about people seeing him watch on the fucking laptop, and he's like, "Boy, I'm gonna have to take a rain check on that one."
Yeah, I'm off the grid in terms of what I Google on this laptop. I think I'm out.
The Olympics.
We talking about Patrick Reed?
No, not yet.
Patrick Reed is in. Patrick Reed got in place of Bryson DeChambeau. He had a very funny comment, I thought, about it, where he said When they gave me the name Captain America, the fans did it. Feels like an obligation and a duty of mine to go out and play for our country whenever I can and whenever I get the call. To be able to call myself not just an Olympian, but a 2-time Olympian is pretty sweet. I look forward to going over there and playing.
This guy thinks he's Steve Rogers when he represents the United States of America. And you know what? I agree. This is the Patrick Reed that we all love. We love Ryder Cup Patrick Reed. Whenever he's wearing the red, white, and blue, it is a joy to watch. Whenever it's a regular tournament or regular major, he's like a weird guy who kind of puts you off and maybe probably definitely cheats every once in a while. And like it's just like, ugh. But anytime he has the opportunity to represent America, he picks up that mantle and he runs with it. And that's something I respect in him. And he's on such a short schedule here. He's flying from, he's participating in the 3M, and then he's got to quarantine for 3 days. He's going to get to Tokyo on Wednesday. They got to start playing on Thursday. And the fact that he was like, yes, I want to do that. I want to represent this country. I'm the only 2-time Olympian in golf history at this point. Like, he takes great pride in that. And this is the version of Patrick Reed that I genuinely love.
Yes.
I mean, he also might just be like, anything to get me away from Justine for like another week. Like, yeah, I'll go over there as long as you guys want. But you're right. One of his lines where he says, I feel like it's a duty of mine. Like, he's invoking military duty to justify and describe why he wants to go over there. I couldn't agree more. This is the best version of him. Absolutely. I laughed out loud when I read that whole thing. And I also was like, yup, that's our guy. This is when he's at his best. This is when we love him. He's right. Like, we did give him that name because there's only, a few times, really like once every year, maybe even 2 years, if you're not as into the President's Cup, where we genuinely get to root for team golf, for our guys, for the red, white, and blue. And it's the most fun, most passionate thing that we get as fans. And he's been a huge part of that. Like, we forget in these little stretches in between how much in those moments we would go to war for Patrick Reed when he's holing out and going crazy and shushing the crowd. Like, that means the world to us. So he's right. He's like, no. You guys call me Captain America. I will be there at the Olympics. I'm going.
It's also my favorite part of that is that he kind of put the fans, like he backed everyone into a corner because so many people hate Patrick Reed, but he reminded them, like, you guys actually call me Captain America. You guys do. And I'm going to continue to be called Captain America because you guys gave it to me. He reminded everyone that they like him. And that's a really good move by him to be like, I'm now going to accept your Captain America name, and I'm now going to accept you as fans. And even though everyone's like, no, we don't want to do that. He's like, no, I will now be the person you root for. And we all have to just say, okay, because he reminded us that we did give him the name Captain America.
And also, no bullshit.
He's right.
That's going to be that Thursday when he plays. He's going to feel horrific with that jet lag, flying all the way to Tokyo, getting there Wednesday, having to tee it up on Thursday. I mean, when we went to Australia, we actually did something similar where we flew for 23 hours and then immediately played, and I wanted to cry. I wanted to break down into tears, get into the fetal position, and just cry for 8 hours. Instead, we played 18 holes of golf. He is doing something very similar to that, but it'll be on a global stage in front of everybody, and he's excited about it, and I believe him. But that's going to be a tough round of golf.
Yeah.
Big time. He's going to, that round was one of the darkest moments in the golf course that we've all ever had. And
you'd think you'd be stiff
Kingston
because
Heath was possible.
Right. It's the hardest golf course on the planet. We flew for 23 hours, nightmare travel all the way over there. And then you just go straight to the golf course, like legitimately straight to there. And you think that you'd be really stiff from sitting on a plane, but we all felt like jello. Like I actually couldn't get my arms to be stiff. Like the swing, I'm like, my arms were pool noodles. I've never felt like that really. Like my body was actually breaking down. I had no strength in it.
And it was hot and there were bugs.
Ugh.
And it was just.
That trip got significantly better after that round. Like that was just a bad day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it did. And that course again was like so firm because it's the sand belt and we just couldn't figure it out. Remember, none of us could get it out of a bunker and onto a green. Like, it wasn't possible.
Ugh.
Story of my life.
Yeah, it feels really rare. The one way you use the internet has changed. The way you use the internet has changed dramatically over the last decade. That's true. Evolution, technology. But security tools have mostly stayed the same. Aura provides complete digital security to help protect your online accounts, finances, and devices, and much more, all in one very easy app to use. Most credit card companies do a good job of protecting you against fraudulent purchases, but what if a scammer files for unemployment in your name, or if your social media accounts are hacked? Actually, both of those things sound like a complete nightmare.
Right. And I think before hearing about this, I think if this had happened to me, I would just start walking, and I would just walk home, and I would never get on the internet again. I'd never make another credit card purchase. Like, if anybody ends up trying to steal my identity or filing for unemployment under my name, like I might start just walking into the ocean, and then that's just it. Because I wouldn't know how to deal with that type of stuff at all.
Here's a stat. Here's a scary stat. Every 10 seconds, someone becomes a victim of fraud or identity theft. What's worse, 23% of those people don't get their money back after the attack. If you think it could never happen to you, you could be their next target. Aura can help. Aura is a new type of security service that protects all your online information and devices with one simple subscription. Aura is very easy to set up. All plans come with a $1 million in identity theft insurance to help recover your stolen funds, and experienced U.S.-based customer service that's got your back. It's an easy online, very easy to use online dashboard and alerts sent straight to your phone. Aura keeps you in control and guides you through solving any issues for a limited time. Aura is offering our listeners up to 40% off plans when you visit aura.com/foreplay. That's AURA.com/foreplay to get complete protection and savings of up to 40%. That's aura.com/foreplay. All right, gentlemen. Real quick, I was in Wisconsin this past weekend. It was my annual buddies trip with all my boys from St. Louis. My brother, shout out to my buddy Pete, got an ace at Erin Hills.
Wow. Were
Shout
you
out
there
to
for
Pete.
it?
So he was in the group, and we had 8 of us total. He was in the group in front of us. It was the 16th hole. I think it was like 156 or something. He hit a 9-iron, flew it into the hole.
Oh.
No bounce, just flew it into the hole.
way.
Like the front part of the hole had a little bit of damage. He just flew it into the hole. And we were in the group behind, so we kind of heard them going crazy. But they weren't 100% sure. Like, they were like 99% sure, but they didn't see it like roll in. They're like, he hit it at the pin, and then it just disappeared without bouncing. And we were all like, well, now what the hell was that? So they were kind of like, they made some pretty good ruckus. And then it was, 16th hole at Erin. So the 15th hole is that cool short par 4. We were walking kind of right by it, and we heard them going crazy. So we kind of walked over as they were walking up, and then everybody went crazy because you could just tell there was my brother actually, boy, Pete hit it, and then my brother, immediately after they didn't see it bounce, my brother just full sprinted up to the green and then just went full sprint and then just turned around. It was like, it's in! And they went crazy. So it was awesome. That was Wednesday too, which was like our travel day, our first round at Erin. So that was how he like started the golf trip.
Wow. How was Erin Hills aside from that? As good as ever?
As good as ever. We had the Ballybunion Cottage, which was like the best view overlooking kind of the main putting green and the hotel and the first tee. So we kind of stayed there, ran our operation out of there. And then, Erin is it's just, you guys all know. It's one of my favorite courses, one of all of our favorite courses. It's so good. It's
heaven.
It's so
it's legitimately
peaceful.
heaven.
I think we all kept using that term of, look, like the Monterey Peninsula and Cabot and those places are as gorgeous as it gets, but it is like they're rocky shores, right? It's a little bit, it's like waves crashing and it's rocky and there's like seagulls flying and shit's being attacked. And whereas, man, out there, Erin Hills, you're just in the rolling hills of Wisconsin with Wisconsin farmland, fescue all around you. And it's just so peaceful. So to just like be there for 4 or 5 days with your crew, it's as good as it gets. We went up on Friday and did just a day trip to Whistling Straits. Check that place out. They had like half the grandstands are kind of going up. That venue has got to be one of the most spectacular, I would say, just golf courses on planet Earth. The Ryder Cup there this year is going to be with the drone footage and everything else is going to be as good as that course is just so hard. It's so awesome. It's so beautiful. But Pete Dye, man, it is so hard. It's just one of those places where, like, when you miss a fairway at Whistling Straits, you just end up in really shitty spots. Like, you know, you got 1 foot in a bunker, like 1 foot on a hill, and then you got to reach down to your ball. It's like you just can't miss a fairway out there, and it's always pretty windy. And then we also they've got a new, so Kohler, you know, they have 4 courses. They've got the Whistling Straits, Irish, and Whistling. They got Black Wolf Run, which has a couple courses, and then they just built a par 3 course. It's a 10-hole par 3 course called the Baths, and it was, you know, we're maybe the biggest short course fans in the world on this show, but it's 10 holes, barefoot. We play as an 8-some. They give you little carry bags on the tee. You bring a couple clubs, and it just opened in June, so literally a brand new par 3 course.
Jeez.
How'd you play at Whistling?
Whistling, I hit it really well, actually. Played really well. Had a triple on the 4th hole and shot, I believe, 82, which, again, felt pretty damn good.
That's
the whole back nine was into the wind. It wasn't as severe a wind as I've had there before, but the back nine, the wind started to kick up. And, you know, we were doing a healthy amount of having adult beverages out there. So, you know, always factor that in a little bit to the score. Maybe it helps, maybe it hurts, who knows. But played pretty damn well. I had my rounds at Aaron, too, gents. I had finally broke 80 at Aaron Hills, which I don't think I've ever done before.
Wow.
Well done.
The first round there, I shot 80 on the number with a 9 on 18. And then second round there, I shot 77. And then third round there, I think I shot 81. And then I had one round where I made a 13 on the 15th hole, and I think I shot like 84 that day or something. So hitting it very well. It felt good to go to that course because I'd never really played that well on that golf course. I remember like I tied Trent the one time where we both shot 102. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And then, you know, the other time I shot like 99 when I had been there. So to actually go there and play really good golf felt really good.
Man, that place is so hard. Like I love everything about Aaron Hills, but like the only time I've ever swung a golf club there, I shot 103, and I just like it just beat me into submission. And it's the type of course that like if you're not hitting it well at Aaron Hills, you're gonna have the worst day of all time. There's just fescue everywhere. The hills are insane. No flat lies. It's just a nightmare. But if you're hitting it well, what a place to conquer.
It was I thought it was as benign as I've ever seen Aaron Hills. They've still got the fescue, but it was like playable everywhere. You could always get out of the fescue, like pretty much the entire trip. And then it just wasn't that windy. So, and then the fairways were firm. Like they've been pretty dry out there. They haven't gotten a ton of rain, and they're just, the way that they've been keeping it is so pure that fairways are pretty firm. So point is, you could hit the ball you were getting like more roll. So it wasn't playing that long. And it just was pretty gettable. We had some pretty good rounds. We had some really bad rounds, but overall had some pretty damn good rounds out there. And yeah, I can't get over how Whistling Straits is going to be for the Ryder Cup venue. It is just
the pictures of those holes, like picturing grandstands there and people and like really meaningful shots for countries and like the USA at the Ryder Cup is going to be awesome. Like with that background and just on the water like that and the wind swirling everywhere. God, that's going to be so cool.
Yeah, it's going to be sick. It's going to be like the crowds are going to be rowdy. You know, some of the grandstands they've got that are like perched up over some of the greens are just looking out over Lake Michigan and all these holes with all the sick bunkering. So yeah, I think that being there got us really hyped up. The tunnel that you walk through, it was like mostly made, but they got, you know, the huge grandstands on the first tee like they always do at the Ryder Cup. Basically, you know, like 16th hole Waste Management type vibe where it's almost just a full theater right there, and then, or stadium. And then the tunnel that goes through, man, you walk like from the clubhouse across this really cool little like bridge that's kind of down in with this water crossing underneath it. And then you start to walk up, and you can walk basically up into, from behind the grandstands, they'll walk through a tunnel and then walk out. And it'll be as epic of a start to a Ryder Cup and a big tournament as you can possibly have.
Cannot wait for that. Can't wait for that. We're going to be there. I just can't wait to see it in person. You've been the only person to go to a Ryder Cup in this podcast. when you went to
Yeah.
France. So
And the one time I went, it just sucked because we got our asses kicked. Like the
true.
whole, I just didn't even get to root for anybody. It was like
It's
every
true.
time, everywhere I went, it was just Euro people chirping in my face about how bad we were. It was just depressing. Remember, like Tiger was like 0-4. Phil was like didn't even get to play because he was playing so poorly. Reed and Spieth like were fighting in the media with Justine Reed making calls to the New York Times. Like it was a disaster last time I went to a Ryder Cup.
Well, I've had quite the weekend here in Minnesota. I had a pretty damn good round of golf yesterday here at Spring Hill in Minnesota with a couple hockey guys. I mean, just the funniest crew of all time. There's just something about being around these guys that you're just laughing the entire round. I mean, the crew that I played with, Brock Nelson, American hero, good guy, plays hard, loves the game, number 29, Brocktober, New York Islanders. Just a hell of a guy, hell of a player. Then we played with Vinny Lettieri, who's on the Anaheim Ducks. He was on the Rangers a couple years ago for like 3 years. Just honestly, just one of the funniest people I've ever been around. Just like not even trying to be funny, like just so casually funny. We played with his cousin Tyler Nanny, who is actually going over to Europe to play hockey, and he is also as equally funny. They're dynamic, just together. And then the fifth person in our group was Lou Nanny. And this is a throwback to when we played at Winsong Farms here in Minnesota with Kyle Rudolph at his charity golf tournament. I was in a group. So when we went to Kyle Rudolph's charity golf tournament like 5 years ago, it was like Dave Portnoy and us, and we all went there, and we were given. So I still am a fucking nobody. I'm a pizza boy that just films Dave Portnoy and I talk on the golf podcast. But at that time, no one knew who the hell I was. I was legitimately just Dave's like I was just like part of his luggage. And they put me down as like a celebrity guest player. Do you remember this?
Well,
like,
no, but because I remember because we went and we thought we were all playing together.
Yes.
And there were like 4 or 5 of us, and we were all gonna play. And then when we got there, the person who had organized the event handed us a sheet, and it was that we were the celebrities and that we were gonna be paired up with a bunch of different groups. So we weren't playing together at all.
So I remember walking up. So I had like hole 16A, and I remember walking up to my group at the carts, and I just apologized to them, right? Because other groups got Larry Fitzgerald and Dave Portnoy and Kyle Rudolph. And I mean, like the list went on.
Darius Rucker.
I mean, the list went on and on. And then this group just got Frankie Borelli, which is just the shortest end of the stick as you could possibly get.
Also, didn't they have it as Frank the Tank's picture as Frankie? Like they thought Frank the Tank was coming. They didn't know Frankie Borelli was coming.
Yeah, it was so wrong. Just everything couldn't have been more wrong. Anyway, I ended up playing with like Lou Nanny's. So Lou Nanny is a Minnesota hockey legend, a hockey legend in general. I mean, University of Minnesota, and then played on the North Stars, and then was a GM of the North Stars. He even like spearheaded getting Herb Brooks to be the coach of the Olympic team. I mean, this guy is a U.S. hockey legend. He walks around Minnesota as if he's God. Like everyone knows who Lou Nanny is, right? And me being the idiot. So he was in our group at Winsong Farms years ago because we were playing with his like niece or his granddaughter, and he drove the cart with us. And I remember like not really knowing who he was, and I've heard stories about him, but like didn't really know. Every time they kept saying his name, I didn't really know what it was. Like, oh, you don't Lou. And so I came on the podcast right after that, and I said Lou Nan, like the naan bread, because it's Nanne, like naan bread that you dip your fucking spinach artichoke dip in. And that got through Minnesota. Like, I mean, everyone's like, Frankie Borelli disrespects Lou Nanny, like the ultimate guy. It's like saying Baby Ruthie. It's like, you just have to know his name. So I find out that we're playing with him today, and like they're like Lou's like Vinny Lettieri and his cousin, they just won't let up. Like they keep calling. They thought that I called him Luke Nan, so they're calling him Luke the whole day. Like, come on, Luke, like hit and drive, like come on, Nan, and he's like those fucking Barstool guys, like Lou Nanny's like those Barstool guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about, like. And he is just the ultimate trash talker. 80 years old, steps up to the tee, rips one right down the middle, never has a doubt. I mean, he made a birdie on a par 3 that we all made 5s on. Like it was like a really hard par 3. We all missed the green. He just went up, putted out of the putt out of the grass, drilled like a 50-yard putt and just like walked away. Like the caddy picked the ball up out of the fucking hole and just went back to his cart. He's the only guy at this place, Spring Hill, that drives a cart around, rips it around like he owns the place. He's a founding member at the club, so he basically does own the place. Just like the funniest day. We had a great match. Tyler and I beat Vinny and Brock in a match, so that's always going to be in the back of my head, knowing that I came to Minnesota. I beat my guy Brock Nelson on his soil. So yeah, no, really, really fun day, and just like God, the swagger and just like the personalities of these hockey Minnesota guys is something that it's unmatched. It really is just unmatched. Like the things that they're able to say. Like I duff a chip, and off the top of their head, they're just like Jason Duffner, and they just walk away. Like I wouldn't even think to make that joke. Like Jason Duffner is a very funny joke about someone who dusts a chip. It's just so good. It's crazy.
How'd you play, Frankie?
So Spring Hill is a really, really tough course. It's a Fazio, I believe. And it's just like every single green looks like you have to take an elevator to get up there. I mean, some of these tee boxes are so elevated. It's the most beautiful look. I mean, honestly, one of my favorite courses I've played in a long, long time. Like really, really fun course. Pristine golf course, and crazy green complexes where like up on a pedestal, like you're like, I can't believe I have to hit up this thing. It's like 60 yards up in the air. So I ended up shooting a 90 or a 91, but we won the match. Like I was getting 8 strokes off the guy who was giving out strokes, and I was a huge like help on the back nine. Dude, I shot 49 in the front. So I went 49, 41. So I think I shot 90. So at the back, I like lit it up. And then for the match sake, like getting strokes and like making 4 threes and 3 twos, like just was so much fun, hitting long putts, and just a really, really fun day. But I'd love another crack at Spring Hill. It's a tough course. Like if you don't know where you're going, you can like, there's like some holes where like I hit iron off the tee because that's what like everyone said to do. But like if you don't hit it in the right spot of the fairway, you just went into the water. So I was just like, why did I even hit an iron? I should just hit a dry. Like you just don't know the course that well. So, but really fun. And I'm looking forward to the Barstool Classic. That's tomorrow. I've heard really good things about this place, Olympic Hills. I mean, I've heard.
Good.
Oh yeah, I've heard really good things about it. I mean, it's a private course here. The guys at Spring Hill, which Spring Hill is like the most elite club around this area, this YZ Minneapolis area. I mean, I guess it's up for debate for some places, but it's like one of the best kept secret elite places. And they all said like you're gonna love Olympic Hills. And apparently they said wait until you get the steak sandwich. So I don't know what that means.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we're getting steak sandwiches tomorrow, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like this part of the country, like Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, doesn't get a ton of the love because it's obviously cold up here for a lot of the year. It feels like their summer's not as long. It's not on the beach or on the cliffs like you get, in other parts of the country. But man, the golf up here this time of year is so good. The pictures from yesterday that you were posting on Instagram looked
so good.
Like that place was had Augusta National's grounds crew out there.
Oh my God. And you guys, oh my God. So there's this like immaculately new, like brand new clubhouse, it looks like. And it almost looks like something that would be in Nantucket, like that, like shiplap, like gray look to the outside with just like white posts. And it's kind of like a low, like not 2 levels clubhouse. And the inside's all oak and like really nice, looking out over this lake. And because it's so high up and you see everything and you see out for miles. And then they have this, so basically they have this clubhouse, and then right next to the clubhouse is this pristine driving range. Like I'm talking your backswing could hit the clubhouse. So talk about like nerves and jitters for me. I'm stepping up. I'm playing with these hockey guys. Like obviously like buddies with Brock, so I'm not so nervous with him, but like Vinny Lettieri, like I've heard he's like he's a good chirper. He's a good shit talker. Like and now all the guys from the pro shop are right there, like just having like lunch and like breakfast and sipping on coffee. And like they're just staring at me hit shots. I'm telling you guys, I don't think I made contact with a golf ball for the first 10 to 15 swings. It was like a shovel. I was hitting behind the ball where like Vinny Lettieri's like, can we get this guy like in a playpen somewhere? Like he doesn't know how to hit like, this is like, they're looking at me like, what's going on over here? But finally ended up like getting it together a little bit. But God, I hate the jitters and the nerves, man. Why can't we just get rid of them? Like I legitimately couldn't swing the golf club. Why? Like I'm just around people that like I know, and like I'm like wasn't even nerve wracking that part. It's just golf in general. Before Like the first part of golf is the most intimidating, scary part of anything I experience in life.
You just don't have, you don't know what you got yet.
Right.
You know, like for us that day, any swing, any human, any golfer could be in there in that little body of ours, and you just don't know what you got. You don't know which way it's going to go. If you're hitting it flush that day, high, low, right? You just don't know. And so then when you put like you up there and you're thinking about everyone that's around you, there's nothing worse than when you get like a caddy, dude, and the caddy stands behind you on the range, and you're like, bro, can you close your eyes or something for a few minutes here while I figure this out? Because you're just exposed. You're so exposed.
Dude, when we went to Michigan, I said that to one of our camera guys, Avery. He was just like filming me for the travel series, and we had just gotten on the range, and I duffed like 5 in a row. I mean, I was chunking and I was like cold shanking, and I looked at him, I'm like, dude, just walk away for just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Just let me get this shit together. Because if you don't walk away, I'm stepping up to the first tee like this. So let me just work on this shit myself.
Dude, I remember when we were playing Pinehurst number 4 during our Pinehurst trip, and our guy Logan was standing behind us on the driving range. And that's just the worst because you know, like, obviously it's fine and it's good, but like, you know how good they are and how used to that course they are. They're like, but in the back of their head, they're like, this dude just sucks. I couldn't hit. I was like you in Minnesota. For the first 10 minutes, I don't think I hit a ball because I was just so fucking nervous. And then it ends up working out because the caddies are always great guys and they have fun. But like that first meeting when they're standing behind you is incredibly intimidating.
You know what I'm a huge fan of? Country club turf. So not like the Eisenhower Park public driving range turf that I think ruined my swing for the rest of my life. But I'm talking that like country club or like really nice public course turf that they have when like they
soft turf.
Yeah, but like no, it's almost like it's like rock hard. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like it's almost a strip of turf that just goes across the driving range, and sometimes they'll open that up when it was a little wet, so like the grass range is closed. It's like this rock hard turf where you just like you can't chunk it, and you just get a feel for hitting the golf ball. That's like what I need to start my day. Like if I could start on that every day and just know that like I can hit down on the ball and it's not going to go 13 inches into the ground. I'm going to be pulling up worms with my fucking wedge. Like if I know that I can do that, then I can move on to the grass. If anyone has like maybe you can send me a DM of like a tip on like how to just like make sure I hit ball on the range to start. Like how do you start your range sesh hitting ball? Cause I pull out like a 7-iron and I'm just chunking.
Give me a tip. How do I hit a golf ball? Somebody just tell me. Let me know.
How do you work on just like hitting the golf ball? How do I hit ball? You know, I just want to hit ball.
I just want to stop hitting the ground. I want to hit that golf ball really badly. GetRoman.com/Barstool, ladies and gentlemen. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care. The world's opening back up. Many new thrills are on the horizon, whether you're in a relationship for years, you're just getting started, or you're excited to get back out there and potentially meet new people when the moment hits. You want to be ready. You want to last. Roman ready equals confidence, the confidence that you know you can rise to the occasion in the moment. Nice little pun there for our friends at Roman.
Talking about getting your dick hard.
They're kind of dancing around it. The world's open up. Get out there and start fucking. Just go out there, start slinging that dick around. And if you want to last longer, use our friends at Get Roman. You open the swipes up. They're super easy. You put them on. You last longer. It's going to make for a better experience for you and your partner. Get out there.
Yeah, you go to GetRoman.com/Barstool today. If you're prescribed, you get 50% off your month of ED treatment, too. So if you have some sort of ED situation, you take care of your ED without leaving your home. Complete an online visit today to connect with a U.S. licensed healthcare professional and take care of that. Make sure you're ready to have confidence and control this summer. Roman ready. Go to GetRoman.com/Barstool today. If you're prescribed, you get 50% off your first month of ED treatment. Roman's in the men's health game, and they're in the sexual wellness game, so they're going to help you out big time. Again, go to GetRoman.com/Barstool. We got a few from the galleries here. We've got Matt, who says, do you think Bryson has legitimately done any serious research into the Happy Gilmore technique?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's thought of everything. Like
He's
he's
he's a
definitely
no stone left unturned kind of guy, and he definitely has looked into it. If he thinks it's gonna improve his distance, or if he thinks it's gonna make him a better golfer, I think he's definitely done it. He might have even come across that guy's swing at the Barstool Classic and thought about doing that, lifting the whole foot. Like, I really do think he has thought about just about everything when it comes to how can he get more distance on his driver.
one of the things like even Kiz said was that no one has like the time or dedication that this guy has to like having that type of game. And when you unpack that sentence, that's basically means like this guy tries everything and tries it for a really long time and has the time and dedication to like work things out. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's done every scenario that he could possibly think of on what would maximize his swing speed, ball speed, all the stuff that he wants to get up. There's no doubt in my mind that he's done the Happy Gilmore or some version of it where he's like, maybe I step into it. Like, I mean, the guy practices and plays all day long to try and get that swing as fast as possible.
Agreed. There's just no way he hasn't. There's no he'd be Shooter McGavin from that clip where Shooter's like on the range by himself trying it. He just can't quite figure it out. But you're right. If somebody like Bryson is trying everything humanly possible to just hit the ball farther and farther and farther and farther, you got to give this a shot. You just have to give the Happy Gilmore a shot. So I'm sure he's tried it, probably determined for whatever reason that it doesn't work. But I'll tell you this. If he came out to a tournament and just started doing it, I think he'd win some fans back.
I
Big
think so
time.
too.
Big
He's
time.
definitely
You know?
thought about some sort of crow hop in his swing. Like, that's definitely come across his mind where he's just like Frankie's saying, like, if you just sort of step into it, or if you do a little hop and go, like there's got to be some sort of advantage to that in terms of length, but it must be way harder to keep it on the map. Like, all those moving pieces, like, that seems impossible to hit consistently, like Happy Gilmore.
Can you legally in golf? You can, I think, run up and hit it, right? You can crow like so.
I don't know.
I mean, it feels like that would be faster if you
Why
just
can't you?
sprinted into it. I think you can. I want to see him do it. I think it'd be great. I think it's kind of surprising that we have. And again, they probably done it in that little room with Como in his little like test lab thing where who knows what goes on in there. But you got to try it. Running, it's just momentum. If you just run with momentum, you're gonna hit it further, right? You think Bryson's like a good runner at all? I feel like he's not that coordinated.
Yeah.
Like, he's coordinated, but I feel like he's almost too like, I don't know. I don't know that he would have that. It might be too much of a skill set.
Did TaylorMade ever come out with that? I remember when we were at Media Day and we were doing all those things with the TaylorMade guys, they had the Happy Gilmore jerseys there. And I remember them saying they were thinking about getting the guys to do that. It was like the anniversary of Happy Gilmore or something. And I don't know if that video ever ended up coming out or if it's coming out later on, but I remember like saying, like, I really want to see like if Rory McIlroy does the fucking Happy Gilmore and how that comes out.
I think that video did come out. Why do I think in the back of my head that I saw that somewhere? But yeah,
TaylorMade's been killing it, by the way. Like the Tiger stuff they put out's insane. Like the other day they put out the video of him hitting those mirrors or those windows against Matthew Wolf. It's just crazy, man. Like darts, like fucking darts.
Oh, I think
Yeah,
Reeves
them-
oh, there he is.
No, I hit the wrong button. Them, yeah, I don't know. I've never done that before. I actually hit my keyboard and then my video just disappeared, but I brought it back. They crush it. They just do it. And it's, what people, like what we learned when we went down there is they just film all of that stuff in 1 day, 2 days.
Right.
Max. So, like, them having the foresight, like the creative foresight that it takes to, get all of that stuff done and then the production aspect behind it too, and be able to roll it out for an entire year and have that content when you roll it out be like really good and engaging is wildly impressive. So yeah, TaylorMade crushed it. We got another Matt who says, where does the Olympic golf title rank versus other golf titles? Comparing it to like a major, or is it like a regular PGA Tour event? Is it like the Players Championship? Is it better or worse than a John Deere Classic? Where would you rank winning? Where would you rank winning a gold medal?
My win with Tyler Nanny against Vinny Lettieri and Brock Nelson was better than winning a fucking John Deere Classic. What are you nuts? I mean, come on. I mean, I think we had the 4 people watching us play. I think were more eyeballs than whoever wins the fucking John Deere. I'm sorry, Trent.
Where do you think this is a good question though. Where do you think, like, did he say medal? Like if you medal at the Olympics or just the Olympics in general?
I think like gold medal, like
Okay.
winning the gold medal. Where would that rank if you had to put it in a ranking system? If you're somebody on the PGA Tour, like where would it rank versus a major? I think clearly lower. Where would it rank versus like the Players Championship? Is it kind of on par with that, or the Memorial, like a PGA Tour event that's got some legitimate prestige, unlike the John Deere Classic? Or would somebody rather win any ho-hum event, including the John Deere Classic, than win an Olympic gold medal? Like, where would we guess that would rank? Obviously, I think it changes per person. Like, just talking with Danielle Kang last week, she's like, the Olympics is the biggest thing for her she's ever played in. And I think for some other people, they're kind of like people just aren't even going. So I think that it's a little it's different per person.
Yeah, if we're talking about it from the perspective of people who have committed and are going, I think it's probably just like a hair behind majors. Like if you are deciding to go, you're going to go to Tokyo and you're going to play in the Olympics and you end up winning a medal, that clearly means a whole lot to you. As a person, as just like a fan, as a viewer, I guess it's probably like below a top tier tour event.
Yeah.
That's where I would rank it.
I agree, man. I think as a player, definitely is up there as a career achievement. You won a gold medal at the Olympics. I mean, how often does that happen?
If you can hang a gold medal in your like house or your wherever you live, like that's a big fucking deal.
Huge deal. But to the viewership, like it doesn't have the prestige yet. Like the only reason the other things are important is because there's history and there's other people before them that have won. And there's always the idea that you want to win the next one, right? Like winning the Open Championship, it's fucking hundreds of years of trying to win this championship. Winning that is really important. Like the Masters, all the guys that have won the green jacket, you want to be a part of that group. The Olympics for golf has not gotten there yet, unfortunately. And comparable to other sports in the Olympics, like they don't practice their whole lives for that moment. So when you're watching it as a viewer, it doesn't have the same, like I'm not drawn in as much as I am with like Simone Biles or like Katie Ledecky, where like their whole life comes up to that one moment. When they step up to that, when Katie Ledecky jumps in the water, it's her whole life has led up to that moment. When fucking Colin Morikawa hits a tee shot, it's like, no, I just watched him win the Open like 2 weeks ago. There's no, like, I don't care that much about this. But personally, if I was in the Olympics, I'd rank it just as high as anything.
Right.
Viewership, it's nothing to me.
Yeah. I think you're right. And again, I mean, it probably just depends per person, but for the golfers and the players that went there, it's got to be pretty damn high. And like you said, I think that putting a gold medal in your home, in your case, in your living room when you walk in, that is extremely cool. And everyone knows everyone knows you won the Olympics, the rings, the whole deal, the opening ceremonies. Like people know the Olympics, even if they're not necessarily a big golfer, whereas they might not know, John Deere Classic or other things like that. So having a gold medal is just pretty universal of like, holy shit, you did the thing where you were the best in the world at your sport like that week when it mattered a lot. I do think, like, man, just watching the swimmers and stuff and knowing how many people actually swim, but that we just see the top, however many, 40 or something, and ultimately it comes down to like the top 6 or 7 that really have a chance. Because it looks like, oh, these are just the people that swim in the world. Very cool. But that's literally, there's so many people at colleges, at programs across the world that try to be that good at swimming. And those people are just so much better that they're the only ones that are actually there doing.
Right, and that adds to it. Every 4 years, these people just re-enter our lives. And the last time we saw them was 4 years ago. So, like Frankie's saying with the golf, it doesn't hit as hard because we watch golf all the time. We just watched Colin Morikawa win the Open Championship, so it's not going to mean as much when we see him compete at the Olympics. But yeah, for people like Katie Ledecky or when Michael Phelps was, burning down the world, like he just re-entered our lives every 4 years, so it felt like it had more weight and it had more meaning. Golf in the Olympics, I wonder, like in 30 years, I wonder what it's going to look like and how people are going to feel about golf in the Olympics.
If they don't get rid of it, and if they change the format to more of like a team aspect or something, like it could be really big, I think. Like if you make it to the point where guys are competing to be on that team, that's what you need. That's what the Ryder Cup is. That's what the President's Cup is. Like they want to be a part of that, not be a part of it and legitimately like say like I'd rather not go, which is happening right now.
Right.
But for personal achievement, man, imagine like your scrapbook at the end of your like career, if you're Colin Morikawa and you're going through the pages and you're just like PGA Championship, Open Championship, gold medal. It's like, I mean, my God, how cool is that? Like you have one life to live. You're out there playing this sport. And you won a gold medal at the Olympics, like ancient Greek type shit. Like you're out there fucking like, I mean, that is as cool as it gets. Like, well, I just talked about history with the Open Championship and the Masters. Like, what has more history than the Olympics? Like nothing. So I guess there's two sides to it. As the player, it's the coolest thing ever. The viewer, they got to get better at like making it a little bit more important.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. It is, when you do talk about that history of like the actual Olympics, and I know you're big on the ancient Greeks, I can tell. So that's
Just
like,
like
really, that really hits home. I think you made a very good point. That made me be like, oh, fuck, yeah.
Right,
hell yeah, they were doing
just
it
like
way back.
like humans against humans. Who's the best human? Like that's how they like did it. Like sport. Like who could throw this rock as far as possible? Like that is fucking just like sport. And like Colin Morikawa could be on the same level as them, like because the Olympic Committee has granted him a gold medal at the Olympics. Like
Right, and that is where golf in the Olympics is set up for success, where golf itself doesn't have much history in the Olympics, obviously, but the Olympics has the most history. So if you just build your golf tradition, your golf Olympic tradition on top of that, then you could really be cooking. Like we talk about the FedEx Cup a lot when that's going on. Like they just decided to just throw dollars at it. And we're like, this is why this is important. The FedEx Cup doesn't have a built-in history like the Olympics does, where golf now being added to the Olympics, 100 years from now, people could just associate golf with the Olympics, and it's as big a deal as anything else.
So what happens if they bring the Olympics back, which I'm sure they just don't, to like Georgia or something, right? Like Atlanta or Athens, and they play the golf at fucking Augusta National. Like imagine like the pageantry of that and like how cool that would be if they added, or like that's what they need. They need to add something where it's like it's really cool to play in it. Like everyone would want to do that. Aside from all the history that we're talking about, they have to like add a recurring thing where it's like the best golf course and like, so like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like how you can make it.
Yeah, it needs some pop. It just needs it. I completely agree. And as people that follow this game all the time, yeah, like if we think it needs pop, then everybody thinks it needs some pop.
I also think, let's say Colin Morikawa wins the gold medal this year. I think he then talks about it a lot. I think he talks about how much it means to him because just watching Colin Morikawa operate, he wants everything. He wants the majors. He wants the PGA Tour titles. He wants Olympic gold medals. So I think a guy like him winning and then talking about how much it means to him, then the ball really starts to roll on guys wanting to compete in the Olympics. That's what I think.
It's also cool that it's only every 4 years. Like you don't get... There's just not that many chances. Like the majors are really cool because there's not that many chances and you still get 4 a year. Mm-hmm. Like once every 4 years you get a chance, maybe, to try to win a gold medal. So doing it, you're just going to be, even in, 40 years, you're going to be in such unique category of people, of fraternity of people or sorority, if you win the women's side of it, that have won like an Olympic golf gold medal, that I think that'll add to it too. But now when it's just like the second one in this kind of era that they've really had it, I think that's right. And it just sucks that like COVID is making it very difficult. And if you're a swimmer or whatever, like track and field, where, like we said, this is your Masters or your British, and there's only one every 4 years, you're going, and then you're jacked up. Whereas the golf, it's like, oh, these guys make millions of dollars all the time, and they're not going to make any money in the Olympics, and they're just not going to go. And so that way you've got, like, whatever, you've got, like, 7 of the top 10 in the world, I think, aren't going, and the number 1 player in the world is not going, which is clearly, like, because of COVID. But yeah, it's a real shame that you combine those two things, and it's probably not getting all of the prestige that it otherwise
There
would.
is an aspect to the Olympics, now that I'm thinking about it more, where I'm not totally convinced that the swimmers and the people who participate in the other events, like I don't know how much money they're making doing this. Like I don't know, like do they make a solid living, trying to be the best swimmer in the world? And that almost brings like an even higher amount of importance to it. Where in golf, like you just said, we know these guys are millionaires 50 times over, so it doesn't feel like it means as much to those guys either.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Like, do you guys think do you think Justin Rose is just like jacked up to have a gold medal? Like we don't talk about that when it comes to his like achievements, really, do we?
I think people mention it, but not as big as winning the U.S. Open. But like I think it gets mentioned.
But I bet he's super jacked about it.
So jacked.
Jacked.
But like Ricky Fowler got a fucking Olympics tattoo and he finished like 37th in the field. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just don't know how jacked up these guys really are about it, because like clearly Ricky like literally tattooed it on his body, and the guy didn't even come close to winning anything. So I mean, and that's not another Ricky Shea shot, but it's true. Like
kind of felt like
he's just excited to be there.
Yeah. So fuck, man. I will be watching the golf. It starts Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Starts really Wednesday night, I think, for us.
6 p.m.
Yes, I think it's like 6:30 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. on like Wednesday through Saturday night / Sunday morning for us, which is going to be interesting. But it's also cool on the weekend. If you're out having a couple drinks or hanging with some people, you can throw on the golf until whenever you go to sleep those nights, which would be nice.
Yeah, hopefully there is that there's that moment where we're all gonna be like, come on, USA
Patrick.
player. Let's come on, Patrick Reed. Come on, Colin Morikawa. Let's win the gold medal. And like, it could be a 1 or 2 stroke difference and they have to make a birdie. We're going to be going crazy. Like that will make the Olympics cool.
Right. Moments build everything way faster.
Yes.
Way faster.
G4 makes golf shoes cool. Check out g4.com/4 for 10% off your first order. The MG4 golf shoe from G4 is lightweight, comfortable, has key performance properties for your golf game. Look, G4 just figured it out. They got the coolest shoes, the most comfortable shoes in the history of golf shoes, and that's coming from guys that have worn a lot of different golf shoes. We've been around it for a while. We play golf like everyone out there. We grew up with it like everyone out there. Everybody that's listening, G4, their Gallivanters, man, are classy. They're old school looking, yet they got the new age comfort that G4 has built into them. And then their MG4 series, like they're saying, is just like really extremely comfortable and cool golf shoes that, again, I don't know that we'll ever wear anything else.
I've got a wide foot. Just my feet are wide, and the MG4s, they just fit them perfectly. I'll never wear another golf shoe ever again. I put my large, gigantic, disgusting foot in there, and it just molds to it, and it feels great. Yeah, G4 has really figured out the golf shoe game, no doubt.
Yep, the Gallivanter is slick. It's sleek. It looks good. It's classy. I mean, when you're thinking about a golf shoe, if you have the pants on and it's nicely tapered down there to the bottom, to the top of the shoe, and you have that Gallivanter on, I don't know if there's a better look in golf. It is just a really, really clean look. And then, the MG4, I love the camel bottoms. It feels like you're wearing pillows. It's hard to find a more comfortable shoe than either of them, especially with that bubble insert that they have on the sole of the G4. Like that's like their thing. When you buy a G4, you know that you're going to get that inside, and it's like walking on a cloud, man.
It is g4.com/4. You get 10% off your first order. That's g4.com/4. 10% off of your first order. Last one we've got is from Ed, who says the tour average from 50% is 8 feet. Would you take making every single putt from 8 feet and in if it meant missing every single putt outside of 8 feet from now on?
Yep, I would. I would. I would, man. 8-foot putts are what kill me. I mean, they're just tough. And I can't seem to make them go in.
I think it's tough to say no to that from just a pure stats standpoint, but it kind of ruins the whole thing out there. If you just know from 8.1 feet and out, you just will never make it ever.
Right.
It's like, well, what am I doing here? Like, it's just not you want that thrill that any putt could go in. So, yeah, I think mathematically we'd all have better scores if every single putt from 8 feet and in was just it. Of course we'd have better scores. We're not as good at putters as the PGA Tour guys already.
Right.
But, man, would that suck to have that thrill just sucked out of your golf game.
You just become the best lag putter in the world, I guess. Or you hope that you become that.
Or you become just the worst putter. Like everyone just like, this guy can't make shit. He can't make shit. Never made one ever from 8 feet and over. Never made one ever. Made 0 putts. Like yesterday, I drained like a 40-foot putt and it just last rotation fell in. There's no better feeling than that. Like if you're telling me I can never feel that again, you're insane. The walk to the hole, the pant lift, everyone going crazy like a birdie. Come on. I'm not flagging these fucking irons. I'm not hitting them to within 8 feet. I think I may take this thing.
Am I willing to get rid of my Australia putt? No. I don't want to get rid of that.
So you're telling me that every putt over 8 feet goes in then? Is that what he said? What was the other side of that?
So the other side of it was, no, you're basically just saying you take the deal or don't. Where every putt inside of 8 feet goes in, but that means no putts outside of 8 feet go in.
Right, because if you flip that, then you never finish a hole ever.
Right.
Which would be tough.
Well, no, I'm saying you flip it. You're just draining putts from all over the place.
But you can't make it. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like if every putt from 8 feet and out goes in, I win.
But then if you stick a shot inside 8 feet,
so that's a 2-putt. I putt backwards 3 feet and then just drain it. It would be electric.
What's this guy doing?
Imagine a 3-foot putt, you blow it by fucking 11 feet, and now you're like 10 feet out.
Every time.
You just drain that second one, like, ho-hum, no problem, 2-putt, par, see you later.
Bro, you would be a freak show with anyone you played with.
I would make it on tour. I'd make every putt. Every single time I hit the green, you're draining putts, 50-foot putts, 45-foot putts. I'd be a scratch golfer. Are you kidding me?
It'd just be so tough because you'd be like, anytime you're in 8 feet, within 8 feet, you can't make I guess you would just never try to chip it. You chip it to 57 feet, like on purpose.
You just barely get it on the green,
and you just rain putts from all ranges.
Do you imagine you miss hit one, pull it or something? It's right at the flag. You're like, no, go, like, get over the green.
The highlight reel of this would be insane. Like they'd be like, Frankie really comes on tour, and they're showing 60-foot putts drop. I'm just like, boom, boom, walking down the fairway. Like I'm tapping the putt, not even looking at it anymore. You just tap it and walk to the next hole. It's a 75-foot like slider down the green. You're just like, oh. I can totally picture like the hype video of just like fireworks going everywhere. It's like he hits everything. He's never missed a putt from 8 feet and higher. Oh man.
Woo-hoo.
I like that. Now I'm on board.
Yeah. I think you have to take that now.
You
I think
have to take that.
Whew, shit.
All right, boys. We got Barstool Classic tomorrow, so people can follow along today as they are listening to this. But yeah, we'll be out Minnesota. It's going to be a very good time. Frankie's already up there. I'm getting ready to catch a flight. But we got Olympic golf Wednesday night. So really, we'll have another episode, obviously, before the Olympic golf starts.
And we're playing Olympic Hills.
What a week.
What a
week.
Steak sandwiches.
Steak sandwiches. What a group we got out there, too. We got the captain, Anders Lee, and Brock Nelson versus Brady Shea and Vinny Lettieri out there at the Barstool Classic. Brady Shea and Vinny Lettieri will be they're in the running to win the whole damn thing tomorrow. No doubt about it. I mean, Brady Shea is a fucking stick. He may shoot a fucking 68 on his own ball. And Vinny's no joke either. The guy pounds the golf ball. So it's going to be really fun to watch. I'm going to be playing along with them. I think we're going to be doing a little bit of like a 5-some and like Islanders versus non-Islanders, Islanders versus ex-Rangers too. So it should be pretty good.
Are you considered an Islander or a non-Islander?
Well, like I'm on the Islander team like a little bit. So, Barry Trotz talked about me during the post-game press conference. So I think that was like
You were ready for that. You were ready for that question.
Yeah,
you were. You've answered that question before, I think.
You on the team? As what people do to you? Oh, you're on the team?
Yeah. When I say we need to be better on the power play. Oh, are you on the power play?
Of all the fans in the history of fans who have used we and whatever, you're probably the most in the right to do that.
There's a lot. I mean, like Jared Carabas Jared Carabas with the
Yeah.
fucking Red Sox. He's in the dugout. He probably is even more wee than I am. That guy's just in the mix.
He is. That's fair. But
My biggest crowning achievement
you're
this year
up
was when
there.
Barry Trotz talked about Borelli's as like being like the catalyst as to like why Long Island was like jumping after a win against the Bruins. Like right after he talked about like the power play scoring and like as if it was like a motivational thing. And that was where I was like, now we go, now we go.
Right.
But they lost and it doesn't matter. So
Now we go. Well, good luck out there tomorrow, Frankie. People can follow along again on all the accounts. We'll be covering it. We'll be having a good time. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
hit it hard.